What is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on The Flash Season 3, Episode 15, The Wrath of Savitar. This video will contain spoilers and maybe some theories. Oh my god, The Flash episode last night was amazing, and it pretty much went down how I thought it would in terms of the kind of episode focus being around Wally West and Savitar, you could say. And I really liked how the episode started. We had a welcome to Central City, home of the Flash, and he added the Kid Flash, as I feel like the Kid Flash has been a vital part for the season since Dr. Alchemy and Savitar gave him his powers back at kind of, when he got his power back within this season. So the episode started with Jesse Quick, Barry training Wally to save Iris, and they kind of reenacted the scene where Iris was getting killed, and they wanted to see if he was fast enough. So it was kind of a bit morbid, I guess you could say, kind of a bit creepy, but yeah, in this scenario he saved Iris. But let's be honest, guys, he's never going to be fast enough. Wally is nowhere near as fast as Savitar. We know that. But it was a kind of cool scene, seeing that he saved in this scenario. So it started basically where last week's episode ended. He's been having like hallucinations, dreams you could say, of Savitar for about a week, and he hides this from Team Flash like all the CW shows seem to do. They seem to lie to each other. But when he gets this vision stroke hallucination, when they're trying to save the day, he has to tell Barry that he's been having visions of Savitar, and really what he is seeing is the Flash. So obviously Savitar's getting in his head, and it's really cool that we get to see his non-CGI suit. And as you notice, in the middle of the suit it has a Flash logo, which the writers like to kind of, costume team like to put on all the kind of people within the Flash TV show, which I think is pretty cool, as like Zoom, Reverse Flash all had a costume, so that is pretty awesome. And yeah, it did flow really well, and it kind of looked like only Wally could see Savitar because it was a hallucination and not Barry. So it was really clever camera trick. So they used Julian Albert again to contact Savitar, and it's so funny. Savitar's so arrogant. He's like, bow before my greatness, oh, as you're in my presence of me the Almighty. So kind of we had a few scenes here, and it's so cool that kind of that they can do this. So I'm a bit confused, not really confused. So Jay Garrick told him previously that Savitar is the first speedster ever, but this version of Savitar is from the future, and he seems to blame Barry Allen for everything. And the way he talks is almost like they personally know each other. So I don't feel like there's going to be a big, oh my god, who is Savitar? I mean, the people who's doing rounds is Wally West is Savitar, Eddie Thorne Savitar, Ronnie Raymond Savitar, the Flash Savitar, everyone's Savitar. But I feel like we are going to get an unmasking. I mean, we've seen later in this episode Barry tried to unmask him, but he couldn't. But it's just a bit weird how they've kind of looked like they've changed the story maybe a little bit from what Jay Garrick told us. I'm not really sure, guys. Let me know in the comments down below. What are you thinking? Do you think they've changed the story slightly, seeing as he's meant to be the first speedster? So at first he was hesitant to kind of become and contact him, as he's still got this Dr. Alchemy link, but in the end he did it for the team, so that was quite interesting. So throughout this episode we did see Kid Flash get to see the Iris West scene where she died. Vi was like, okay, cool, let me take you there. And then he sees his sister dying, which is heartbreaking for him. But what he notices is Iris doesn't have a ring, so kind of he calls Barry out on this, which is kind of a bit bad, but it's kind of like justified. So yeah, maybe the reason that Barry kind of proposed was to try and change the future, which ultimately is never going to happen. Regardless to what they're going to do, it's not going to change what's going to happen in the future, in my opinion. So we get the kind of prophecies through this episode that it was Caitlin who betrayed, as she kept the bit of the kind of stone, which wasn't their downfall. It actually helped them. It helped them until the point where Kid Flash threw it into the Speed Force. So as they worked it out during this episode that Savitar was in the Speed Force, they called the engagement off, the kind of wedding off for now. But as we know in the comic books, they do get married. So and obviously Bart Allen can't come in the program until they're married. So I think it's going to happen in the future. So let's crack on to the ending. The last 15 minutes of this episode was absolutely epic. So Wally tries to save the day without Barry Allen, and it ends badly. It ends so badly. After Wally's been having visions of his mother being alive, he tries to take out Savitar by himself, but Savitar's been baiting him for so long. So at this point, they don't know that he is in the Speed Force. Well, the team know this, but Wally doesn't know this. So since Flashpoint, we find out that Savitar has been baiting Wally all throughout to make him take him out of the Speed Force. So it's very clever. So he's just been frustrating him and winding him up. And before Barry gets there, Wally throws the last piece of the stone, which was keeping Savitar out of the Speed Force. So I don't really feel like Caitlin was the one that betrayed, because she was the one that was keeping him out. So it's such a sick scene when Wally basically gets pulled into the Speed Force, similar to how Barry got pulled into Speed Force. And there was kind of a scene from Infinite on Christ Earth, I guess you could say, where his suit disintegrated to the point where it looked like it completely evaporated, almost like it did in Infinite on Christ Earth. So that is a cool kind of bit there, which I found it looked so good to me, how he just disintegrated. So essentially, Wally West, Kid Flash, has replaced Savitar in the Speed Force. Guys, we kind of knew this was coming. I mean, I predicted this. It wasn't much of a shock, but I didn't think he was going to get stuck in the Speed Force to maybe the end of the season. But it does make sense, seeing as next week's episode is called Into the Speed Force, and within that episode we are going to see Captain Cold, Ronnie Raymond, and Eddie Thorne. I will be doing a trade breakdown later on for that, so check out for that, guys. That'd be awesome. So let me know, guys, what do you think of this episode? It was freaking awesome. I mean, Savitar and Barry got into a fight. Awesome. I'm loving seeing the non-CGI suit, as we are really getting a feel for Savitar, and we're getting to know more about Savitar. They get into a fight, and Barry actually kind of takes a bit of his claw off, so maybe they can do something with his suit. They can kind of maybe try and track who he is, but ultimately Barry gets his fucking ass kicked, and Savitar stabs his claw into him, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure if it's the claw that Iris is supposed to kill him with, but there was a kind of funny quote that I picked up on during this. So if you watch Arrow, you know Prometheus has been revealed, and he said, "I'm 10 steps ahead of you." So that's obviously Prometheus saying this, and something really similar. One of Savitar acolytes said that Savitar will always be 10 seconds or 10 something ahead of you. They basically said the same line, which is pretty funny. So by the end of this episode, you should have the premise that Iris is going to die. Wally is the one that suffers the fate worse than death, or maybe it's Joe, because he's stuck in the Speed Force for now. But spoiler alert, if you don't know this, he will be in the musical crossover, so he's not going to be in the Speed Force for very long. So it makes sense that next week's episode is called Into Speed Force. So I predict that Wally's going to get out of the Speed Force with that episode. It's going to be quite interesting to see who's Wally's West lightning rod, as in the episode last season, Barry Allen's lightning rod was Iris West, but Wally doesn't have anyone like that, so it's going to be really interesting seeing where they're going forward. I mean, I think they are definitely doing some comic book stuff. As we know, Wally West was stuck in the Speed Force in the comics with in the Speed Force in the comics, and they are kind of doing a rebirth storyline. I mean, I don't want to ruin too much about the comic books, but Wally West has been stuck in the Speed Force before in the comic books, so I really like it when they try to change the kind of storylines. So guys, I hope you like this kind of video. I'm trying to get better at my review videos because they don't really get much traction. So if you could, guys, please like, subscribe, and comment if you want it, and let me know, do you think Savitar is going to be revealed? And if you do, who do you think it will be? It was interesting that Savitar said that HR won't die. I just found it a bit funny. So I'm not going to kind of say anything about who I think it is, who Savitar is, because I don't think it's anyone personally. But I'm going to put a card up with, I'm going to put Eddie Thorne, I'm going to put everyone who I think it is. So like, check the poll out, just click who you think it's going to be. Personally, I don't think there's going to be a reveal about who Savitar is, but they kind of gave it a personal feel about, they kind of look like they knew each other. There's definitely a lot of history. I hope we get more of a backstory about how he actually got in there, as they didn't really say too much about how he was trapped in there in the future. And maybe I'd really love to see a scene of when he got like stuck in the Speed Force from the future. I think that would be absolutely excellent. Anyway guys, I'll catch you in another video later on today, which will be my my breakdown for Into the Speed Force. I think the episode's called. Right guys, please like, subscribe, and comment if you want to. Cheers for the love, it means the world to me. Goodbye guys, peace.